Right, podcast time, because we're
talking. What am I looking at, that one?
Don't know.
Doesn't matter with podcast, does it? Everyone's listening to us, driving somewhere. So wherever you're going, good luck today.
We just sort of do that, yeah.
Or if you're going shopping, yeah, good luck.
It really
shopping.
is good luck today in that weather. That's why we're sat in a pub doing
Yes. Not even got the pints in yet either, have we?
No drinking. Well, it's flipping. It's only 10:30, so we better not.
Yeah, to be fair.
A bit too early, but yeah, we thought we haven't done a podcast for ages, have we?
No, we haven't. We need to get back on them, don't we? We like podcasts.
We need to have a chat.
Because they never stay on the same subject, do they? They always go off on a bit of a tangent.
No, I like this one though. Rich had a proper brain dump the other day and came up with some very, very good ones, didn't he? We're liking it. And Watercraft was one of them.
Well, I think it's one of them terms, isn't it? Everyone uses it.
Yeah.
But no one, everyone's got different opinions on it, what it is, and it just seems to be one of those terms that gets thrown about.
What does it mean?
What
you
is
got to stick it on.
Do you remember,
what is the definition of Watercraft?
I'm not going to go off one yet, but I am going to go off one. Remember back in the day, there used to be a company or brand, Watercraft. They used to do floats. I'm sure they did a box as well with them little babby side trays. Remember that?
Yeah, the little green. Yeah,
they had they had 4, but they were that wide, and they had sections of sort of 2, if you like. But
yeah.
You remember them?
Yeah.
I've heard of the name. I've never seen it.
I used to use a float, my bestest float in the whole wide world. I used to use it on Suez all the time, and it was a Watercraft 0.4 float with a
pole float.
Yeah, pole float with a rugby ball shaped body. I used to use it week in, week out on Suez.
That was the rig.
That was the one down the middle. Anyway, back to Watercraft.
I think it's one of those, isn't it, where it's the bits outside outside of your fishing that can help you catch fish. So anything from sort of paying attention to weather, paying attention to how lakes behaving, time of year and all. It's so many little things that you can do away from what bait you use or what rig you use.
That influence what you have to do.
Yeah, and I think it's
one
of those,
massive, isn't it?
Yeah.
You really think about it. It's
everything. Really.
Away from feeding, rigs, that, it is everything else, isn't it?
Yeah,
it isn't it? Other than feeding, rigs and tackle, everything else is Watercraft, isn't it?
Being at one with them.
Being at one, all zen and
I can't remember the place, but a few weeks ago, when a day like this, and obviously not as rainy today, all that rain going in, the water level actually come up, I'm going to say 2 inches, but without sort of some, you know when something's not right, your float starts dipping down a little bit more, thinking, put plummet back on. But you go in and everywhere has gone 2 inches deeper. So it's things like that to water. You wouldn't necessarily think that in a still water, would you?
No. What, when your toes start getting wet, probably should plumb up again.
Yeah.
It's one of them, though, isn't it? You just wouldn't think. Massive big expanse of water and the water levels come up. It's stuff like that. Obviously, twitchy reeds and bubbles.
Should we do that? Fish behaviour as what?
What influences the fish behaviour the most?
Or how you react to it. So if you see a fish showing or jumping out or bubbling, what are you looking for, reacting? What would you class as feeding?
Oh, fish topping never.
Do you not?
Irrelevant.
I'll fish there.
No.
Not now. You in your carpy days, you would have chucked to that though, wouldn't you? Would that have been an indicator for you? But
that was more finding where.
Yeah, that's
where
a different. That's a lake with no fishing, so that means that's where the gang is. But it is. It is, isn't it?
There was always different how they would showing as well. If there were. You could watch them and if they were all going in one direction, that was generally them moving. Yeah. But if you were seeing bubbling and then head and shouldering sort of thing, just popping up and popping down again, that was generally in feeding.
Stopping and feeding.
Oh, right, okay.
Stuff like that, paying attention, but obviously
Do you know what I will say? It makes in the winter, yes, where they are. In the summer, carp topping at venues like Hayfield, the Glebe massive, Dale's Place, Marston. When they top 3/4 of the way across to an island or something. That's when I know they're in bell end mood.
What, they're not going to feed?
That is their non-feeding. They do it at Whiteacres on Twin Oaks and that. When they're 2 or 3 metres off far bank. When they do that, that's the only time I know that, they're in that mood today. And they often do it at the start of the match.
Oh, right, okay.
And then they disappear.
And all in goes and you don't see them again, do you?
No, they do it when you're fishing.
Oh, really?
Early up, first few hours when they're not feeding. Or second, third hour. They do it at the Glebe all the time. You see them just off the far bank.
See, I thought the opposite, there's not many fish topping, jumping.
Yeah,
what do you say, topping or jumping? A jumping fish or a topping fish?
Little fish top, don't they? Big fish jump or show.
Yeah, you think that would be solid then.
Yeah.
I saw that many fish.
Don't know, but whatever.
Yeah, if I saw that many fish jumping, topping, whatever.
With carp, you pay attention. F1s can do it and be utter the biggest nightmare on the planet when they're topping. That often means they're not feeding.
Why do F1s do that weird jump 30 times in a row?
I've only seen a few do that, but remember that at Baldwin's.
What was that skimmer that guy did today? It nearly bottomed me out on 60 elastic. It just kept doing, didn't it?
I had one as well on It was one that Carpe hooked at Larford. Got in the net, put it back, and it's literally just gone down the bank like 3 or 4 pegs, just jumping out, back in, jumping out, back in, like a top kit out.
But yeah,
just
you've not kept me, boys. I'm free.
Proper free willy that down the
Yeah,
bank.
mate next door nearly had his like feeder rod took out, and it was all
play.
kicking off.
I like that. Sabotaged everyone with a release.
But
Well, yeah, when the top in, F1's have done it a few times. That I think it's a temperature thing. It often happens after rain and things like that, and they come up.
Because obviously that cold water's pushing right down to the bottom, so
Yeah,
it forces them
I've
off.
seen them do that. Partridge, I've seen it. Steve's place, I remember seeing it a few times. And you have 1,000 in your peg and you can't catch
Just
one.
can't catch any.
Yeah, I've had them do that quite a bit.
Right, okay.
They seem to do it, but silverfish never do. If silverfish top, you catch them,
Yeah,
don't they? So it means they're active.
yeah.
So yeah, in the winter, if I see anything topping in my peg, I'm made up. In the summer, don't pay too much attention.
It's just one of them.
What? So you'd still fish where you think is a right depth as opposed to.
Well, that's different thing altogether.
Do you know
the
what-
fish don't control that.
What's been massive in trying to explain to people as well is a massive bubbles. You know, we're coming on to like bubbles. When it's a massive bubbles, like a jacuzzi, some people, some anglers would take that and think, well, it's flipping loads of fish in my peg, I'm going to catch loads. How often you have it, you don't get a bite when it's like that because they're off the bottom, not on the bottom, because it's obviously too horrible
What do you think
and
that
too
is
muddy.
when you get them big plume of bubbles? Do you think that's
So I've
from feeding
talked
or-
about this a few times, and you know, Jay's probably going to say otherwise, but I've explained it, and it makes sense to me. If you're feeding maggots or casters in deeper water, and you're getting them bubbles coming up, yeah, there's going to be some degree of bait going on the bottom, but I think a lot of it is because there's air trapped inside that bait, and they're like crunching it and the gills in the back of the throat and all that. That's what's creating them bubbles as well, and fish charging through your peg. I'm convinced with that. Doesn't really happen with pellets because pellets is a heavier bait. That's sinking straight down to the bottom.
Well, I think
I'm having not.
I'm having it.
Oh yeah.
What,
I'm having
Leave me to it.
single pimpy ones maybe.
Single pimpy one that you catch more fish on them as well. Alf.
Yeah, but I'd have
Not a
them off
mass.
deck. When them big masses, that mass, I think it's always came within gas off the pond.
do you,
Oh no, yeah, the big single ones like that where you get like blub 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 in the same thing.
No, even when you get a
the random eruption.
Yeah.
I think a
Towards
lot
the
of the
bottom.
time that's going to be like where carp because they do that rolly thing, don't they? Where they go into it.
Yeah.
Because they do it rubbing on clay. I've seen them do that quite a bit. Where it's just almost like they get excited.
disturbs everything.
And
I think they want to kick the bottom off.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, they don't want to dig in it, so they want to.
And then they're holding off the bottom, aren't they? Then
Yeah.
they're not on the bottom. You never get a bite when it's like that, really, do you?
No.
That's
But
why you got to fish.
I think
past
that's
it,
so
around
often because they can't see.
it. Yeah.
And that is
You've talked about
watercraft,
loads,
isn't
haven't you,
it?
on bob and pellet and shit like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That is a watercraft thing, isn't it? Is understanding the bottom of the lake bed.
Yeah.
I think
Go back to the beginning, because we were on external things first. Weather.
yeah.
Like fish topping and all that. That were the first one that dictates. Pressure's massive. We talked about that loads.
Yeah.
And the more we pay attention to it, the more that's flipping massive.
Yeah.
Massive on what mood they're going to be in. I mean, that's probably the first thing I'd look at when I go fishing, is what the pressure is going to be these days. Before I've even gone, I'm looking at it all week to think, are they going to be on the bottom? Is it the right type of venue? What am I prepping?
Are you one of them where the the air pressure affects you, like with headaches? And that, so you know it's going to be
notice
high?
when it goes high, and you're like, oh,
Definite difference, isn't it?
Yeah. When I was younger, I always used to get like nosebleeds when it went dead high. You get
Right,
them
okay.
weird sort of pressure changes, and that's
So you are in tune with the fishes you pair, aren't you?
zen.
Hong.
But it is, that makes massive, massive difference, pressure,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Above anything else, above temperature, above everything.
Yeah, you've talked about this a lot. I don't take enough attention to that. I should do,
Yeah.
but I don't.
Particularly F1s. Again, I don't know about silvers as much.
Because there'll be days when I've been out thinking, right, it's going to be solid today, shallow. You don't get a bite. And it's obviously all to do with that pressure and little weather changes.
Yeah, it's pressure doesn't affect whether they feed or not. It's where they want to be in the water. All pressure is the weight of the water pushing on the fish and how it makes it feel.
Yeah.
Simple as that, isn't it? So the higher it is, the higher the fish wants to be. It's still hungry, but it wants to be up. But then in lower pressure, people think they'll all be on the bottom. But it's not. It just means they could be flipping anywhere in low pressure because they're happy.
Yeah.
That's all it means. That they could be on the bottom if they want to be, but they'll be wherever they want to be. Then temperature comes into it, I suppose, doesn't it? Because they're not going to want to be in 10 foot if it's low pressure and warm. They're still going to...
Still want to be in that warmer bit of water.
Yeah, it just opens the options up, doesn't it? Low pressure.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing you pay attention to, isn't it?
Yeah, temperature's the other one, isn't it? Where do you like? Because some people seem to be proper into it, taking temperature and water, and there's like, because spawning's one that's definitely is it 18 degrees or 17?
Yeah.
Is
different
it
for
dead
different fish, though, isn't it?
specific?
Yeah, I'd spawn a lot called a perch too. Obviously the
They're
predatory fish.
predatory, aren't they?
Yeah. You know what I mean?
But yeah, they know what's going on fish, don't they?
Yeah.
And then daylight hours and all that sort of crap, that's huge as well.
Yeah,
in
that's
the,
massive.
The
You see it all the
metabolism's
time, don't
changing.
we? As soon as you get like 12 hours when we're going into like March time, innit?
Yeah,
Just
it can be rock bottom still, can't it? And all of a sudden they're active
yeah.
because they know that they have to beat and all that sort of shit. But we're out within the match then, so you think of those things before you go. You're looking at weather pretty much, aren't you, before you go? That's the only...
Wind direction, does that?
Yeah, same again. But you can't control that because you can't control where you draw. Wind directions, it is what it is, isn't it? When you can't, you're at your peg and then you deal with that. And that's when you choose them. I suppose that dictates your methods that you're going to pick.
What, if it's dead windy,
All of them?
more rod fishing and...
Well, it could be the wind could affect, the pressure could affect it, the temperature could affect all those things. Once you're at your peg, you have to consider again. But are those things right for this peg that I've drawn? Is it a shallow peg on a high pressure day? I mean, have I got any cover?
Because I think that is quite a big one, isn't it? Especially thinking about wind and everything like that. Doing what you can do well rather than trying to do what you want to do badly because of weather.
Yeah.
Where I think everyone's guilty of it, aren't they? Where on that last live match we did, where you're trying to fish the far bank with pellets.
Yeah, can't do it.
And it's like trotting through like you're on a river, and it's like it's never going to work. But it's being on it and being like prepared to change if it does change weather-wise.
I am much better out these days. You find you are?
Much better.
Don't struggle through in bad weather these days.
100%. Just fish top kit, innit?
Just do what you can do, innit?
Yeah, definitely. Don't.
Back in the day, I'd break poles and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And now you think...
Or you do daft things like set a little bobby method up, and you're never going to win on that. No. But you might get one or two fish in it, but you're never going to win on it.
No.
You know what I mean? You just choose somewhere nice, sensible, get them to come to you while it's still eating. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not saying that's water. No, it is still watercraft, isn't it?
Into it, yeah.
But that's giving in to the conditions.
Adapting to the conditions.
Adapting,
Sort of, but it might be the wrong thing, but it's still the best you can do it.
Yeah. So
It's all that is, isn't it? I mean, 9 times out of 10, it's the opposite way in that you can do what you want. And you just have to work out what's best.
Yeah.
What about during the match?
reading indications of floats and stuff.
Yeah, so...
Indications to the reaction of your feed on your float.
Yeah.
A bit of that, and I think it was Bagger when he was doing one of our coaching days. He was dead good at explaining it, where it's like how your float moves when you get a liner. You can tell how high the fish are in the water.
Yeah.
So if it goes up more of an angle or something like that, that's them higher up in the water going through your rig. But where it's sort of looks like a proper bite, but then you hit into
below
nothing.
your shot.
Then yeah, and stuff like that. Just being able to pick up on those tiny things.
Yeah, the
as
type
you go.
of line that tells you whether they're up or down.
And
I hate it.
like same thing on
You
rods
don't
as
even
well.
think
isn't
of it. I just strike at it.
That's foul looked it.
Do you want to know what depth they're at?
a little bit
Yeah.
off.
What point of foul look it is when I decide where they are.
I hooked that 5/4 bottom, that'll do. I'm just straight into that. Yeah, no. It's right, but yeah, little things like that. Obviously, loose feeding, watching your float, seeing what's happening with it. That makes a difference. And then obviously seeing swirls or... See, it's things like where you're hooking them in the mouth as well. I didn't used to pay any attention to that, but now, since going out with likes of Bagger and Christian, that makes a big difference as well.
Are you just taking it as middle of top lip is
You've got it
everything's
right.
Yeah.
Anything
Bottom
else?
lip, anything
There,
else.
it's right, and if it's underneath,
It's
then it's
mad
what's
how
going
much
on.
it changed, but like literally a couple of inches. Just, horrible.
But the other one that kind of springs to mind, the edge fishing members one we did at Larford, where you were saying like about almost patrol routes where your carp are always coming into your peg a certain way and leaving it a certain way, and being able to work that out is massive as well.
With edge fish, even with mugging, that happens a lot as well.
Go into it.
What, the same patrol route, Jay?
Yeah, but that's every peg's individual on that. Carp will swim the same way all day. So often.
Clockwise?
None of that clockwise bullshit, no. Don't give me that.
Who was it you said clockwise?
Keith Arthur in it's convinced.
yeah.
Keith,
Bless
what are you
him.
lying for?
Go on,
They
Keith.
don't. And the little buggers go whatever mood that they're in. It all depends on venues, doesn't it? In fact, that's what it is. Every venue is individual. They 100% have routes that they go. The amount of pegs I've had that they cut across your peg on the same line every go. And I think both they do that and you dictate that as well by how far you put a pole. Yeah.
Right, okay. Yeah,
It's how far you fish also can control. Like you can cut that patrol route off and send them a different way. And that can change throughout the day, but they do consistently the same thing every day. They do, don't they?
Yeah.
Like how often do you have it when you're mugging that you mug 90% of your fish in the same spot?
In the same spot. Yeah, it's right.
Because both of that's the route
Coming in
and
that way.
visibility and whatever else.
Yeah.
it's always the same way, and there'll be one area that's void in your peg that you never catch one, and it's too consistent to not be a thing. But that, again, that's just picking up on that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Understanding how they want a rig putting in and things like that as well. That's different every day.
It's edge fishing. One edge is always better than the other as well, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think that comes down to, I'm going to go weird, topography and what's on the bottom.
Oh dear.
I think so
It's nice and
often
clean on
we
one,
try and think too much about it. It can be nothing.
Just the fish
It
can't
could be
see
you
anything.
pick a place, because how many times have you plumbed up, think it's beautiful, and put your hand in later on and gone, what am I fishing over there? That's stones and rocks. Old Uff's the worst for it.
Yeah.
When you go on them big stones, if you fish the wrong place and you're on them big, they're like your fist.
Yeah. If you just can't see your bait.
But you plumb it up and you don't know it exists. You're like, and you can do that by accident. You don't know that you've done it. And one side could be better than the other, not because the fish are there,
Just because they can see your bait one and they
just
can't
because
see
bottom
another.
shit.
Yeah.
I think that often happens. And even something being in the way, you could pick a spot there. You know what I mean? I could pick my spot where my phone is.
Yeah.
That's where I'm fishing over.
Yeah.
The fish are swimming in this way to my peg.
Yeah.
There's a house brick behind it, and I never know.
Right, yeah.
And they never actually get, and you think, oh, they're not coming in there. But it's just, I think a lot of fishing is coincidence in it, and we don't appreciate how much coincidence occurs. We try and think that we're in control of it all when often not.
Really? Yeah.
Or it's stuff you can't find out. Like when at Dale's place where they've drained that lake, and you can just look at the edges, and if you were plumbing up on them, you wouldn't think it was any different. But things like that, and especially on the far bank where there's certain pegs on there that, because it's a arena-y type lake, isn't it, with an island in the middle,
Yeah.
and certain pegs are always like dead good on chucking a method across, and others aren't, and you're like, I'm not doing anything different. Why is he suddenly catching and I'm not? And then you see it, and some are like a proper severe slope, or you're in like 3 foot straight away, and then you get others at a nice gentle slope. You can get tight in whatever depth, and it's stuff like that that'd be so hard to tell the difference just chucking out.
You'd never know. When the water's in the lake, you never know there's any difference. You just assume you're doing it worse.
Yeah. That's one where you can have someone like crashing a method, and you think, oh, he's never going to catch, and it's going round every time.
Every day.
You think you're doing it quite nice, and you're like,
There's
why aren't they
another
getting
influencing factor why that you disregard almost, because you can't see it.
that? Yeah.
That's the up thing with fishing in it. Sorry, duck noise. But it is, isn't it? So much happens that we can't see, and we assume. Well, yeah, it's that assumption thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Assumption is the biggest thing of failure and all that crap, innit?
But how often would you then try a different spot and do something different and think, oh, I've sussed it by, you'll fish corn or something on that spot rather than pellets. Oh, they want corn today. It's not. It's just because you've moved to a slightly different spot or something like that.
Yeah. That's the thing with Watercraft that's been my lesson the last couple of years, I'm going to say, with it. In fishing areas that don't get fished is massive.
Right then, you lovely lot, our brand new Winning Ways merch has just arrived. We have got the blue hoodie, the black hoodie, the grey polo, and also available is the limited edition Perch on the Cave t-shirt. So head over to www.winningways.shop and get yourself them bought. Yeah!
Yeah.
What you want to? We were having this discussion yesterday. Like, if you're plumbing up at like 13 meters and there's a obvious tree that everyone's going to go to, and it's a bit deeper and a bit harder there, do you fish on it or not?
No.
Do you not?
I pull it up just in case.
Do you go like to the left
Every
or right?
peg you draw, there's a way of fishing it that 90% of people do. Because that's what we talk about. Oh, I do that peg, do this.
Yeah.
And everyone says the same thing. Do you know what I mean? And everyone, 90% do the same thing. Partridge is the worst for it. The worst.
That opened my eyes when you mentioned that. It was a couple of years ago, wasn't it? And like,
You have the
there's
same.
mud holes
You
everywhere.
have your mud hole, you cut out in the edge.
Yeah.
They're the areas, not so much in the middle, because that's a bit more of a track. The fish learn, when they're first there, they learn.
You're going to get nailed.
Well, they have done.
Yeah.
They get caught 20 times in that place.
Yeah.
So they hang off it a bit, fish somewhere else.
If you go somewhere a bit nasty with like reef coming in that looks more.
I think partridge is like that because of the regularity they get fished in them places.
Yeah.
So they learn that spot's danger. Every time I eat my dinner off that table, someone whacks me in the face. You wouldn't, would you?
No.
I mean, we're in a pub now. If you sat on that table every time and someone came and lamped you, you're going to sit somewhere else.
Ow, it really hurts.
Probably just go to a different pub.
You would think about a different pub, but
I'll just move a table across. That'll be fine.
You prepare yourself. We're dying.
they definitely learn that areas are danger.
100%.
Definitely, don't they?
Yeah.
So you have to, the amount of times, tunnel's the one for me. You fish somewhere different that nowhere does, and you catch different fish that you never see.
Really.
You catch carp. And you're like,
You do get, you see it where it's generally someone new turning up to a venue that doesn't
They do well.
know the done thing. They'll do something different, and that almost kicks off the new trend then, doesn't it?
It's
And
quite often bait-wise that though, isn't it? Bringing some
Yeah, they get used to that as well.
confident with.
Bait's
You know
the
what I
same
mean?
thing,
It
yeah,
can
they
be
get
like
sick of
saying
it.
maggots, and someone comes with like meat. Look at Neil Mates and what he's done with meat. All of a sudden, goes and wins everything.
yeah, no one's ever fed meat down middle.
No,
And he's just rafted it and catch him on a chuck.
wins like 20.
But again, that's untouched, undone.
Definitely something different.
do you think it's more of that, or more the fact that he's gone and done it and committed to it, so he's going to catch on it?
No, Neil's just dead good as well.
Yeah, it is.
But people don't catch. People follow the trend, don't they? And then it's sort of people are going to catch on that because that is
work
what the
as well.
vast majority of people are
Yeah.
doing. Where sort
That's
of
why the
committing,
best pegs always win, because everyone does the same thing.
where committing and doing something different,
Yeah,
and
that's
doing
when
it
obviously
well.
win comes into it and it dictates and the best play. Yeah.
It is. I think playing the non-numbers game and being unique pays off more than following the trend.
That the last few years, you seem to have proper been on that you want to, and I think it's probably getting harder to stand out, isn't it? Because there's that much information, and you can like, especially thinking about F1 fishing, there's that many people that are that good at it that unless you're doing it week out, that castery, maggoty stuff,
Yeah,
you
it's
can't
hard to
compete.
compete.
So doing what you do, where you go and fish pellets and be different, you might come last, but you've got, if it works, you know you're doing it better than most people.
You get it all to yourself. Massive for me, that.
Yeah, you're going to stand out one way or the other.
Yeah. It is. It is a bit. But when it pays off,
When
it's
it
the
works,
easiest
it
thing in the
works,
world.
Yeah.
That almost feels a bit like pace fishing, where there is a certain time of year where it's right and
Yeah.
you can
just a
proper
much smaller window. But
Yeah.
yeah. It
Proper
doesn't tend to
stand out.
happen as much these days, does it? There used to be a time
In the
when
day,
pace
it's
used to
proper,
take the
wasn't
mick.
it? Just ridiculous.
There's certain venues, isn't there? I think that it fits in.
Very odd. It used to be everywhere back in the day.
Yeah.
But these days, fishing's got too efficient in other ways, hasn't it? Got too good at it.
Don't know, but there's again, it's people doing it. There's probably less people doing it now,
Yeah.
so you don't find out about it. Oh, that's fishing mega on pace stuff.
Yeah.
So,
A lot of places not allowed now, is it?
It's not based out feds. What, pace isn't allowed?
Yeah, it's quite like here they don't allow it.
Do they not?
No.
They allow ground bait?
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the weirdest rule ever.
But then Monk calls the opposite. Monk call you allow pace to not ground bait. But it doesn't matter. It's just on the hook, isn't it? But still, it's a weird method to have pace.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's not a lot of
Watercraft.
waffling, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's so much more though, isn't there? Like what goes on in the match, what influences you to make your decisions during the match, not just what you're seeing.
Who was it?
What, from other angles?
Like other anglers, working out what you're fishing in shit and you need to fish in a different depth. All that sort of thing, and how quickly you react to it's massive. It's flipping 70% of your fishing, isn't it? Is watercraft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
When you break it down.
I think that's the thing, reacting to it, the fishing, the feeding habits, learning quickly that you can't catch more than however many fish from X area
I like
and
that.
moving on.
Understanding a
These
pattern.
youngsters, like F1, let's take F1 shallow, for example. These youngsters and Bagger, and you're so in tune with it, right, 90 seconds on one. If I've not had about, I need to come out, go deeper.
Yeah.
And then you have another run.
Even your amount, you can count I can catch 4 there, then I
Yeah.
can catch 3, and then I catch 1.
Why?
And you keep doing that. Don't know.
Why? How?
That's
why?
what'll set you ahead.
It just
of,
happens. It's a pattern that happens,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Someone like me waiting for it. No, just one more. Then
You
I'll
try and
change.
catch the 5th.
You've changed and gone somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's experience as well as watercraft, though.
But
It's a bit of both, that.
You always feel a bit more shallow fishing, I think, because you're getting all the indications. You always react a bit more to it. Whereas if you're fishing on the deck, I think you're a lot more inclined just to sit there and wait for it to happen,
it'll
aren't
go
you?
in a minute, because you've not got anything to change.
Yeah.
You've just got to sit.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
even shallow fishing's massive, in it, for swapping rigs.
Yeah. How many times you see now 7, 8, 9, 10 top kits, all at different depths and that? You know what I mean?
Every
You've
time
got
you
to do
swap,
it.
you nail one.
You've got to do it. You can't just put your float up a little bit because you'll just
You
miss
don't
it.
get a bite.
No.
Yeah.
Does that almost come back to you say it with mugging a lot, where the first 1 or 2 are dead easy to catch.
Oh, why does that happen?
But is
Why
it-
does that happen?
Just they react to it, maybe.
We'd be the
that-
first 2 fish, wouldn't we? We'd be the ones in the net first, and then it starts getting a bit hard. Then you start
I'd be the
getting
one with
bits of fish.
mouth out the water.
Ready? Oh, not again.
Why?
I'll be like, I need to keep that.
They must
feed me.
100% know they're getting fish for, don't they, once the match starts?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Because that first one is stupid.
They're not there because they're on the bottom, happy. They're there because they want to eat. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? They're just waiting for it. Simple as that,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Noise, the whole noise and reacting to it's obviously a big
Yeah.
thing. Because, was it Cudmore on Arena where they went round in the buggies? That the carp would always
Yeah, they
go
were following them, weren't
follow him around because I related
Yeah.
that to getting fed.
Yeah.
And it's going to be no different to reacting to
The start of the match must be a big noise under the
keep
water,
nets
mustn't
going
it?
in is a 1. Marston reacts so badly.
Yeah, and I think we've made that worse for ourselves, not in only in a catching fish point of view. What we do is right for fish welfare and all that. But we all put them in at the same time now as well.
Yeah.
Whereas it used to be spread out back in day.
Yeah, you just rock up like.
You'd all just put them in gradually.
Some would like, oh, I forgot to put my net in, and then
Now it's 15 minutes to go,
yeah.
all at once.
Or when you put the extra net in halfway through the match and you never catch again. Or
I don't do
you
that
kill
anymore.
your
I've
peg.
learned so that
put
so
them
many
in.
times. You just put them all in.
Always put them in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a mentality thing as well.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it doesn't make any difference, does it? Like monk call, you're only allowed 3 at a time.
Oh, really? And then you got to put more in.
Doesn't make any difference.
Oh,
there.
right,
Just keep
okay.
putting them in.
Monk call,
You just
innit?
eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
Go on,
it must be huge, mustn't it, that noise?
Yeah.
Even the start of the match when you're all cast in within 5 seconds of each other. Because you do.
Yeah.
You will cup in or cast in within 5 seconds. So it's an instant. You never think of that, do you? It really is chaos, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the noise of setting up boxes going on platforms and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's all in tandem. We're all doing it at the same time.
I know that was a carpy one.
Go
Who was it? Like Chris Ball or someone like that. Someone was fishing somewhere where they've got proper platforms with legs in the water, and he was like to the point he was wearing slippers because it was like softer on there, less vibrations and stuff like that. And it's going to be the same thing. You've got legs in the water. You moving around on a platform
Massive.
is going. Like, you don't think about it shouting across to your mates or talking on the phone and stuff like that, but should you
They know it's happening.
should you be
You
able
know, you
to-
notice it more than anywhere in match fishing. Not really match fishing, just venues. Border fisheries. If you walk around
Oh, the
Spessy
Meridian.
Lake or Meridian a bit, not so much chasing the fish, but Spessy Lake or Match Lake, if you walk around it on a calm day first thing in the morning, you're what? 3 metres away from the far bank. And because it's so undercut and so soft there, ripples go out into the lake as you walk around.
Right. Yeah, they do.
They know. The fish know you're there, don't they?
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it? They always know you're present. That's why the little would sit in between you and the next angler 100% of the time on a snake lake. They do, don't they?
They do.
They do. Like, they sit, you could measure them.
You won't. That's
They
when
are sat
like
in
you
the
put
middle.
every peg in though. The end pegs would always dominate, wouldn't they?
Yeah, because they've got no room to settle. But when you've got space to settle and you two can't
You'll
reach
always
it,
see them topping.
there could be that much room. My float could be here and yours could be there. There'll be £100 here that we don't catch.
Yeah.
Because fish are ripping horrible and that's what they do. On that note,
Go on the Watercraft.
we've waffled for ages. There's our thinking.
Yeah, I like that.
Watercraft, isn't it?